Hi, my name is Susa and I want to show you how I drew this illustration on Figma, and this is my Instagram, so if you want to share your illustrations, please tag me. First, to draw a sketch on paper, you can actually use a photo, like your own photos or even stock images for reference. For example, if you want to draw a person in a certain position, because for illustrations like this, you don't really need sophisticated drawing skills. And next time I can also show you how I use stock images or my own photographs for creating my own illustrations. The main thing is not to steal someone else's idea or illustration that's already made by someone, or photographs. But when the sketch is ready, I take a picture of it. You can also use a scanner application on your phone or use a scanner, but I want to show the easiest way for everything I'm making in this video. So I recommend you to use Figma application that you can download from figma.com, but you can also use it from your browser, but I think that the application is much better than the web version. It's just more convenient. Anyway, it's up to you. First, I create a new design file. You can do that by clicking a new design file button or the plus button on the tab bar. Then I usually rename my file. Let it be poster for now. You can rename it anytime you want, and you can give any name you want. And then I want to put my sketch by dragging and dropping it. You can also just copy and paste. Then I downscale my drawing, pressing Shift on the keyboard. And on the left side you can see the list of your layers in the file. It's kind of the same like in Adobe Photoshop if you have used it. I rename my sketch as Sketch, and now I would like to adjust my sketch to make it brighter and have a higher contrast. I press the little preview on the right bar of Figma, and I usually higher the exposure, the contrast, and I put saturation to 0, maybe a little brighter, and I want to make the opacity 30%, which would be enough for me to see all the lines. And yeah, now I select the sketch image, and I can also do it from the layers panel, and I want to block it, basically to lock it on the surface so that I don't accidentally select it when I am actually drawing. So now I'm gonna show you my favorite tool, which is pen. The hotkey is P, and the main idea that it creates a shape by connecting the dots you draw by clicking once. And this is how, for example, you draw a rectangle. By default it has 1 pixel black stroke, but this is the shape with sharp angles and straight lines. But let me show you how to draw, for example, the cat's head, because it is curvy, it is almost a circle. So to draw a curvy shape with a pen, you need to press on the left mouse key, and you need to drag the cursor kind of tagged to the circle line you want to draw. I hope it makes any sense, but as you can see, there is a small controller from a dot, which is called the Bezier curve. and I will show you how to edit them later. But for now, let's set 4 dots for our head sketch, because I usually set 4 dots for a shape like circles or ellipsoids, because it is more flexible for controlling. So when I select the point, you can see that there are kind of mustaches uh, coming out from it, and these are the controllers of a dot, which let you like change the curves. And I want to adjust the shape a little bit because I'm not quite satisfied with how it looks like now. So I'm gonna just drag and move these mustaches. The controllers themselves are at the end of each mustache. And yeah, let me just do that and continue later. Oh, one thing, when your shape is deselected and you don't see the dots and you want to change the curves of your shape or like just the shape itself, you have to double click on the shape. If it's a stroke, then double click on the stroke or click on the edit object button in the right panel, and voila, they are back. You can also change the behavior of Bezier path by clicking on this drop down in the appearance on the right panel. You need to select the dot you want to edit and set, for example, to mirror angle. Then when you move one path, the other will mirror its angle. It's easy. If you set it to, for example, mirror angle and length, then it will do what it says, like the mustaches will be changed exactly the same way, just the other one will reflect the one you move. And if you set it to no mirroring, then they will just move separately. You can edit them independently. And if you select all of the dots, then what you choose will affect all of them. So now all of my dots are mirroring the angle of each path. Now let me just quickly edit this shape. Next, I want to show you a pencil tool, which I probably won't use, but I still want to show it so you know how to draw with it. To get a pencil tool, you need to push a drop down near the pen and select a pencil, and you will need to push the left mouse key and just draw a line by dragging your mouse. Zoom in by clicking Command plus. And again, if you want to edit the shape, you have the same kind of dots and Bezier curves, and dots are created kind of automatically, so they're a little bit more chaotic and the shape is more complicated overall. Now I want to show how to add fill color. Let's make the shape red, for example, and as you can see, adding fill color didn't do anything because we need 2 lines crossed to make fill color work, or at least 2 dots connect at the same point. The next tool I want to show you is the shape. If you want to create a regular rectangle, you can press hotkey R or click on the menu near the shape tool icon, and yeah, I think you know how it works, but let me show you how to draw, for example, a perfect square. You need to press Shift on your keyboard while drawing the shape. And it works for any shape you want to draw. If you push on the drop down near rectangle tool, you can see that there are line, arrow, ellipse, triangle, polygon, star. And let's draw a perfect circle, for example, pressing Shift on the keyboard. And you can draw a perfect triangle the same way, and The same works for a star shape. What I suggest you to do is to draw different polygons, stars, and just play around with their settings on the right panel, just to know how they work for future. Okay, now I'm going to just outline the sketch without adding any fill colors yet. I'm only using the black strokes, and this is a very monotone work, but don't forget to enjoy the process. And one thing I wanted to mention is that don't worry about the arrangement of the layers yet. You can always change it and make the layering thing work right. But yeah. Okay, I made all of the lines of my cat one, and I wanted to show you another very important tool in Figma illustration. As you can see, my cat has pupils that are slightly out of the eyelids, and they have to be behind them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the pupils by the line of an eyelid or like lashes. Doesn't matter how I call it. And yeah, what I'm gonna do next is I want to add some fill color both to the eye and the pupils, just to like make them more visible for me. It doesn't matter what color you use, and delete the strokes for both of the objects. It's very important. And now I'm gonna duplicate by clicking Command D or Control D the eyes, and I'm gonna select both eyes and pupils. To do so is I'm gonna select first the eyes and then select the pupils, pressing Shift at the same time. As you can see, I've selected two layers simultaneously. And now I'm gonna click on this icon right here, and this tool, I don't know what name it has in Figma, but in Adobe Illustrator it's called Pathfinder, and maybe you're familiar with it, but like this is a very cool thing. You click Intersect Selection, and as you can see, it has just cut the pupils by the line of the eyelids or lashes. Now I want to tell you about another important detail when you draw in Figma. So when I double click the eyes, you can see that I can see both dots of the right and of the left eye. Is because when you draw something with a pen and you're still in the editing mode, so when you can see the controlling dots and you draw another shape, they are kind of in the same layer, both of your shapes. It's important. Now, one more tip I'm gonna give you is that always name all of your layers, well, or almost all of them, because it will make your work process so much easier, and it will make the layering easier for you too, because you will always know which object is in front of or behind which one. And then to rename the layer, you need to just double click on the layer's name in layers panel and just type in the new name and press enter. And to change the arrangement of layers, you just drag and drop the layers to the right places. And then in the end, I usually group all of the objects. For example, for this first cat, I will group the eyes to the group named eyes, head to the group named head, and etc. And to make a group, you just select the layers you want to group and press Command G. Then I'm grouping the whole cat and name the group by the name of my cat Haku. And now I'm gonna speed the process up because I'm gonna do all the same steps for the other cat. And while I'm doing it, I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel because I want to make more of the videos like this, and I want to know what else would you like to learn in Figma or maybe some Adobe programs. And yeah, just tell me what you think in the comments, and I will be glad to read and answer maybe. And yeah, once the cats are ready, I'm going to outline the table and cakes and other details. And I don't know yet if the letters I want to be on the image will be drawn manually, or maybe I will find some font and use it. I'm going to choose colors for my illustration, and I want to give you one more tip. You can just use Pinterest for it. You can get inspiration from just photographs, colorful images, from your own photos maybe, but you can also Google or search for color palette and you will get plenty of ready-made palettes. What I suggest you to do is not like stealing them completely and straightly, but just take them as inspiration and adjust some color shades at least to suit more for your purposes. And yeah, this is basically it. So these are the colors I have chosen for my illustration, and I want to show you how to make color styles so that you can easily access the colors you want anytime you want, and select the object with the color you want to save, go to Fill panel and then press the menu button, then press the plus button to add a style. Make sure that it's style and not a variable. I'm naming it red and I click create style, and here it is. And let's say I want to paint the tablecloth red, so I'm going to Fill panel, to the menu and then select red. Basically that's it. I'm gonna do that for every single color I want to save in my file: pink, yellow, beige blue and dark blue. Now I want to show you how the eyedropper tool works. For example, let's say we want to create a color palette from this movement roll image. I'm creating a circle. You can create any shape you want, and I'm pressing E on my keyboard, and this is the hotkey for eyedropper, and I'm just going to the point at my image where is the color I would like to save. And this is, by the way, how you can create your own color palettes from like the images that inspire you. Now I want to make a checkered pattern for the tablecloth. So first I'm gonna create a stripe with the shape tool, with rectangle tool, and I will copy the second one right next to the first one, pushing Option Shift on the keyboard, and then the third next to the second one, and then keep the third rectangle selected and just press Command D. This way you will just copy it multiple times to the same distance, and then select all of the stripes and pushing Option Shift, copy it to the top, and then select the top stripes and rotate them, pushing Shift, and just place them on top of the bottom stripes, and I will just adjust the sizes to create a checkered pattern. And I don't want them to match 100%, so couple pixels, displacement is okay, and I'm changing the opacity of all of the stripes to 40%, and I'm making them white. And next I'm just placing the pattern over the tablecloth, and when the placement is okay, I want the pattern to fit the shape of the table, and I am gonna select the table layer and copy it by pushing Command D on the keyboard. And as you can see, now I have two table layers, so I'm selecting the copy and the pattern. Don't forget to group your pattern elements, and when these two are selected, don't forget you select two layers by pressing Shift, and I'm going to this menu and I'm clicking on Use as Mask. And what it does is that now the pattern is inside the shape of the table. And I'm not doing it with Pathfinder tool because currently every piece of the pattern has 40% opacity, and with Pathfinder I will just cut the whole shape and it will become kind of a single solid shape. So it won't save this difference in opacity and it will look more like a cage than a checkered pattern. And I'm gonna use the same mask instrument on the heads of cats because they will also have patterns. And now I'm gonna just paint all of the elements of my illustration, and I think I will not use the strokes, I will only use the fill colors, but maybe I will redraw their eyelids as strokes, and also their mouths and maybe some other little details will also be drawn as strokes. Anyway, let's talk about how to add text objects. And to add the text element, you need to press the hotkey T or click on the text tool in the toolbox. You can just click once in any place and try typing the text you need. As you can see, there is automatically created a box, kind of a text field, and I'm gonna change the color of my text to beige. And now to the font selection. By default there are all of the Google fonts that are free for any purpose, and you can also use the fonts uploaded on your computer. You can also change the font style, like bold, italic, regular, medium, etc., and change the alignment. I set it to centered, and I want to show you what happens if I scale the text field. If you just scale it, and as you can see the field changes but the text itself stays the same. That's because you need to use the scale tool, which you can reach by hotkey K or from the drop down near the arrow tool. And now the text is changing with the text field. And now I'm just gonna play around with colors, which I will change later. I'm pretty sure of it, and I add some other additional text with some information. And basically in design the main rule is usually use not more than two fonts, and now I'm using like lettering and two extra fonts, which is maybe too much, but you know, I don't care because I am just having fun here. And now I want to show you where you can easily get a royalty-free paper texture in good quality. I think unsplash.com has a good selection of textures which you can legally use for free in any purposes, and I have chosen this one. You can also create a paper texture with AI, for example. But anyway, what I do next is I apply the blend mode to the image with texture, and you can see the preview how it changes the image below it. And you can select any you like, but I think I'm going with multiply, which is usually the basic option for texturizing. I also want to adjust the image with texture because it's now too dark and too yellow for me. But you don't have to follow these instructions anyway if you are satisfied with illustration already without textures or gradients or whatever. And you can also change your texture in a different way. Anyway, this is all editable, so I'm just gonna stop here, and I think the illustration looks quite nice right now. But what I want to do is I copy the whole illustration to make my next changes, which are adding gradients. So that's why I'm gonna name the layer with texture as texture and lock it so it doesn't bother me. And now I'm gonna show you how to add gradient to the object. As you can see, I have white fill color here, and I'm just gonna press plus button and add an extra layer with color. Now it's 20% black, and I'm just gonna change it to gradient. So now this layer is a gradient, and you can see that there are now gradients controllers. I again suggest you to just play around with them to see yourself how they work. I think it's pretty intuitive, and by default there are only 2 colors, but you can also add more swatches into your gradients. You can change the type of gradient. I chose radial. It can also be linear or diamond or something else, I don't remember. I usually use the radial or linear one, and you can change the opacity and the color of each swatch separately, and basically that's how you edit your gradient. And I'm just gonna add gradients to all of the elements that I want to have some shadows in them or more colors, and I'll talk to you back later when I'm okay. I want to show you now another important thing. I want to show what means to flatten the vector object. As you can see, all of the letters in my lettering are separate vector objects, so each letter is a separate element, but I want them all to be merged in one single vector shape. So what I do is I select all of the objects I want to merge, click the right mouse key and select flatten. So now you can see that in the list of layers, this whole lettering is a single vector layer, and I rename it as lettering. And if I edit the object. Now all of the letters are kind of in one single vector layer, and I cannot edit them like separately because they're all in one. And if I turn the text layer into the flattened object, it becomes just a vector shape. So now you cannot edit the text anymore. It's not editable text layer, it's a vector thing. And if I double click it, you can see that there are just dots that you can move and destroy the whole font if you want. But if you scale it, it scales the same way as all of the other vector elements on the page. Okay, this is the finalized image, and I think it looks quite nice, and I want to show you our last step, which is resizing the image and exporting. And I'm gonna create frames for Instagram post and Instagram stories. So I'm gonna choose it from the social media bar, and I'm clicking on Instagram post. By default it's a square shaped post, but as you might have noticed, Instagram now uses more vertical images, like it's more popular. So I'm gonna change the height to 1920 pixels, which is the good image size for vertical Instagram post, but you can also use the square one. And now I'm gonna create the frame for Insta story, which is already good as it is. And I want to change the background color to darker gray so that I see everything better. And now I'm gonna select the illustration, I'm gonna group it, and yeah, all I need to do is just to copy it right to the frame and to scale the image using the scale tool. Don't forget to use the scale tool and not just an arrow, because if you don't use the scale tool for making the illustration bigger, then what might happen is that your fonts won't scale and also your strokes will stay the same. So yeah, use the scale tool, please. And yeah, now what I have to do is just to place the elements so that they look good in my frame. So I'm gonna make the texture fit the Instagram post frame, and I will just need adjust the sizes of the background and basically of all of the elements. So I'm just gonna speed up this moment. Basically there is no easy way to make all of the sizes like right from the beginning. You will need to optimize them for all of the formats anyway. And I want to mention one thing about Instagram stories is that Instagram stories have save fields. So what I usually do is I add a layout grid to the Instagram story frame, and by default it's usually just a grid. So I select columns and I make only one column, and I add the margins around 120 pixels, so that I make sure that all of my elements are not too close to the sides. And I also add rows. I add one row and I make margins to often 240 pixels so that the elements are not too close to top or bottom, because on top there is usually a user pic and on bottom there is a comment section and message field. And these are just small details, but I think it's nice when you know about them and your posts look nicer. I'm just adding a little bit more details and I'm done. And now I want to export these frames as images. So I select the frames and I go to the bottom of right panel where is the export field, and I select JPEG as the format, and 1x means that it will be exported in the size I have, in their actual size, and I just click export. And here is the result. I hope this video helped you, and if you want to share your results with others, with me, with your friends, just please post them on Instagram and tag me on your stories or on your posts. I will be so glad to see the results of your work and the results of this tutorial. Thank you for watching me, and bye. And sorry that this video is so freaking long.